watching the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day.
The following program is part of Cable in the Classroom, a service of the cable television industry and your local cable company.
From the Weather Channel, a special presentation. It is the inspiration of myth. Tremendous releases of electrical energy. From the beginning of man to modern researchers, we've struggled to understand the awesome and random power of lightning. We'll meet people whose lives have been completely changed in a split second. We'll also see the latest in the study of this force. But first, a close-up look at the sky on fire.
Oh my God! Right in the video! Oh my God!
Lightning has fascinated mankind for centuries with fantastic visual displays that light up the sky.
So there's about 30 million cloud-to-ground flashes striking the continental United States each year. And that's an average of about one flash per second. And that's a lot of lightning when you think about it.
Lightning is nature's electricity. One single bolt, although normally only 1 inch in diameter, can produce 1 million volts. The air near a strike is heated to over 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of the sun. Lightning causes more direct deaths than any other weather phenomenon. More than 100 people are killed and 300 injured each year by strikes. A large percentage of those struck are at work.
A forked lightning bolt came down from the sky. It went off in 3 different directions. It blew a transformer off a pole 25 yards from me. One bolt went through the roof, and another bolt went directly into me.
Went out of the bus, I got out of the driver's seat, walked around the back of the bus, opened up the little doors for where the lift was, and started to let the lift down. As the lift started to unfold, I automatically just grabbed the little handrail that pops up. And within a matter of seconds, it felt like about 200,000 or 300,000 hornets got me all at the same time. It was very hot, it burned, and it stung, and it went straight up my arm. Everything lit up around me, and the weirdest thing is I never heard thunder.
Through the centuries, man has battled with many superstitions, myths, and theories about what Norse warriors believed were messages from God. In medieval Europe, it was believed that the ringing of church bells could discourage lightning. Bell ringers had the dubious task of pulling on the bell ropes throughout the storm. In a 30-year period in Germany, nearly 400 steeples were hit, and over 100 bell ringers lost their lives. Founding Father Ben Franklin is credited with the discovery that lightning is in fact an electrical charge. Today there is some controversy over Franklin's famous kite experiments, but he did fly them into storms to determine the properties of lightning. In the summer of 1752, success. Sparks jumped from a key tied to the bottom of the kite to Franklin's hand, and the electrical current from lightning. These experiments could be dangerous. One of Franklin's contemporaries in Russia was struck and killed while flying a kite into a thunderstorm.
Lightning is basically a very big spark. It's 5 to 10 miles long, as opposed to small sparks in the laboratory or small sparks that a person creates walking across the rug and touching a doorknob, but basically it's the same thing. It's a big version of the sparks we're used to.
At the Museum of Science in Boston, this concept is taken a bit further. A large Van de Graaff generator creates big sparks, so the public can actually see the electricity in the same way they would see lightning. In nature, these big sparks make for impressive visual displays, especially across the desert Southwest and in the lightning capital of the United States, Florida. Lightning normally forms when the top of the cloud becomes positively charged, while negative charges build up in the lower portion. Because unlike charges attract one another, this negative charge in turn causes a portion of the ground underneath it to become positively charged. This positive charge is most pronounced on tall objects such as buildings and trees. Typical cloud-to-ground lightning begins as electrons rush from the cloud base and then toward the ground. As the electrons approach the ground, a current of positive charge starts upward from the ground to meet it. After they meet, large numbers of electrons flow to the ground, but a much larger, more luminous return stroke surges upward to the cloud. This is the flash of light that we see. That flash is cloud-to-ground lightning, but that only makes up 20% of lightning. Most of the electrical charges are within the clouds or from cloud to cloud. Spectacular viewing.
That was the best one yet that I got on film. Yes.
I think the frequency of lightning is staying pretty much the same year in and year out. There will be fluctuations from one year to the next, but we don't think there's a whole lot more lightning today than there was 10 years ago or 100 years ago.
Lightning is researched and photographed almost constantly. People spend hours chasing storms looking for the perfect picture or image. Lightning flashes occur so quickly, at a 30th of a second, that at normal speed this looks like one flash. But when slowed frame by frame, the true beauty of the strike is revealed. Sometimes on the video image, a weak lightning bolt can be seen miles away from the main bolt. Here, it appears the small streak may be very close to the photographer. But now, after recent studies of these images, it appears that they are an optical illusion, a trick of the camera. Video images are captivating, but still photographs of lightning can be even more breathtaking. Lightning can captivate the imagination, but it does hold very destructive capabilities. Researchers try to find ways for the rest of us to have more warning of potential strikes. Their research includes flying through the heart of thunderstorms. Coming up in part 2, the struggle to understand lightning takes to the skies.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Current regional conditions. Special regional information. Local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Region's long-range outlook. The regional forecast. The extended forecast. Your local radar, showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. You're watching the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day. Remember Miss McGillicuddy, your 6th grade teacher? She was the greatest science teacher in the whole world. And it wasn't just because you had a crush on her. It was because she taught you the whys and wherefores of weather. Well, you're older now, and even though your crush on Miss McGillicuddy has faded, your need for weather information hasn't. That's why you watch the Weather Classroom Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's not Miss McGillicuddy, but it's the next best thing. The Weather Classroom, only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. It's back, and there is no escape. Winter, it can be harsh and unforgiving. Take cover. Prepare yourself by watching the Weather Channel. To know what is developing, depend on us around the clock. See what is happening through color radar, which shows you the levels of intensity, plus watches and warnings that alert you to severe weather. This winter, when weather threatens, watch the Weather Channel.
Current conditions, extended forecasts, travel information for over 225 international cities. Call next.
Is loud snoring keeping you awake, robbing you of your precious sleep? Then silent snoring now with a revolutionary new product called Nosevent. Invented by an internationally known ear, nose, and throat specialist, Nosevent even silenced the Guinness Book of Records' loudest snorer in the world.
Nosevent worked the first night we used it. It was silence all night long.
My husband used to feel very guilty about the fact that I was up due to his snoring, but now with the use of the Nosevent, he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. I sleep all night, and so does he.
Guaranteed to work or your money back. Silent snoring now with Nosevent. You'll be glad you did.
Nosevent means a quiet house and a good night's rest.
Nosevent works. When I wear it, I don't snore. When I don't wear it, I snore.
To order Nosevent today, have your credit card ready and call the number on your screen now, or send check or money order for $14.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. Nosevent has worked for millions of people, even the Guinness Book of Records' loudest snorer, and it can work for you. Call the number on your screen now.
Current regional conditions. Special regional information. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Your region's long-range outlook. The regional forecast. The extended forecast. Your local radar, showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. You're watching the Weather Channel for accurate forecasts at your convenience. Weather you can always turn to.
Rescue workers search hopelessly through the wreckage of a huge jet near Elkton, Maryland, but they find no signs of life. All aboard, 81 persons died in the fiery crash. The jet ran into heavy weather and was awaiting landing clearance when disaster struck. The control tower heard the plane's captain call out, "We are going down in flames." Eyewitnesses described the stricken craft as a huge ball of fire as it plunged earthward. Just what happened is still a mystery.
The Pan Am jet crashed on December 8, 1963. At the time, it was the second worst air disaster in U.S. history. The official accident report determined that the probable cause of the accident was lightning-induced ignition of the fuel-air mixture in the #1 reserve fuel tank, with resultant explosive disintegration of the left outer wing and loss of control. Since that crash, extensive lightning research has been conducted to make aviation travel safer. At Lightning Technologies in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, various parts of aircraft are tested to see how they react to a direct lightning strike. In this experiment, they show how lightning can penetrate the metal structure, causing the fuel tank to explode.
We were applying a short-duration pulse which simulates the return stroke of lightning as if it would attach to the aircraft structure. And the subsequent attachment, which we witnessed in the demonstration, has melted through the aluminum structure, and the hot plasma and gases and materials ejected by the arc attachment in that location allowed the air and fuel mixture to ignite in this case. Of course, this is a situation that we do not want to happen.
In a second area, the researchers send a lightning charge through a metal model aircraft to see how the plane reacts. They take still photographs and video so the results can be scrutinized. In this freeze frame, it is interesting to note that there is another separate spark which develops near the tail of the aircraft, a phenomenon rarely seen until these tests were conducted. Nonetheless, experts still feel air travel is safe.
And that has been demonstrated over and over again. Most of the commercial aircraft fleet will get struck typically once per year for every aircraft in the fleet. So we are seeing thousands and thousands of lightning strike aircraft every year with very few known effects to the aircraft.
Right, the video camera's on for takeoff. We're heading for.
Safety issues of lightning in flight have been of particular interest to NASA.
Roger, I'd like you to recommend a good penetration heading, please. Roger, could you try 310?
In the mid-'80s, researchers at Langley, Virginia, flew an F-106 jet into the most violent thunderstorms they could find, all in the name of research.
Well, right side. Good strike. Okay, loud flash just to the right.
We had one strike to the nose.
Ah, good run. Direct strike to the aircraft, no triggers. That was a nose boom strike.
10, 9, 8, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
NASA's researchers are also interested in how lightning has affected the space program. On November 14, 1969, after liftoff, Apollo 12 was struck by lightning at 6,000 feet, and then again 30 seconds later. The mission continued on its journey to the moon without any problems. Researchers at NASA discovered later that the 360-foot rocket had in fact triggered its own lightning strike. The electrically charged clouds had reacted to the structure of the rocket. Another incident in March of 1987 helped increase NASA's awareness of this problem. An unmanned Atlas Centaur rocket carrying a $160 million communications satellite took off in cloudy, rainy conditions. That rocket also triggered its own lightning strike. The electronics on board went crazy, and the rocket had to be blown up so it wouldn't crash into a populated area. These problems caught NASA's attention. The Kennedy Space Center is in the heart of lightning country. Florida has lightning strikes nearly 100 days a year. NASA was forced to become a leader in the field of lightning research. They were not just concerned about launches, but lightning protection for equipment and workers between each launch.
During that time period, a lot of that work is done outside, and those people that are doing that work and those pieces of equipment, those systems, have to be protected from lightning effects. And so the ability to warn that you're going to have a lightning hazard, and you can put systems away and get people into protected areas is very important to do that well, not only for safety, but also do it for economics.
Now NASA, through extensive research, has developed 2 state-of-the-art detection systems which report lightning strikes around the area. The first is the field mill system. The field mills detect a field change in the atmosphere and can detect the buildup before an actual strike. The newest system is LDAR, which stands for Lightning Detection and Ranging.
LDAR detects the small lightnings that occur within the cloud. Lightning is made up of several discrete impulsive events, and LDAR detects those. And many of these events would not be seen by the human eye. So LDAR is getting the smallest lightnings that are occurring very early in the history of a thunderstorm, and they provide up to 10 to 20 minutes of warning before there's actually cloud-to-ground lightnings being produced by the cloud.
The agency also has led the way in the field of triggered lightning after the Apollo 12 incident. This field of research is now being carried out by Dr. Martin Newman at the University of Florida in collaboration with the Electric Power Research Institute. At a site 40 miles north of the campus, they assemble rockets with wire attached to them and launch them into thunderstorms so they can create lightning.
The artificially initiated lightning is much better because you know where it's going to occur. One still has to wait for the thunderstorm to come overhead to make it, but at least one has an idea of the distance that the lightning is going to be and if it's going to occur, when it's going to occur.
Being able to control the test environment is important and has made the work of the researcher more productive.
Just last September, we initiated 2 lightning flashes into an overhead power line. The line didn't have any power attached to it, but it was a normal overhead power line, about 1 kilometer long, and it had attached to it underground cables such as go through your neighborhood. And onto those cables were attached transformers such as go to your house. And we measured the responses of the whole system, what kind of voltages got through the transformer. And it's the first time a full power system, for example, has been tested, and we're able to say what level of voltages and currents would enter a home if lightning struck the line in that place.
While conducting their tests at the facility, they also discovered what happens to lightning when it hits the ground. They excavated where a strike had hit the ground and found that the lightning had melted a path in the sand. The sand had resolidified in hollow glass-like tubes. These tubes are called fulgurites.
The fulgurites themselves are very interesting because nobody exactly understands how they're made. They're very hard to dig out because they're fragile. Whether it takes a special kind of lightning current to make the fulgurite or not, we're not sure. So it may be that all lightnings in Florida sand, say, make fulgurites. It may be that only half of them do.
All this lightning research will hopefully help to minimize the human tragedy which occurs from the deadliest part of a thunderstorm. Human suffering is very real. Your whole life can change in a split second, as we'll see next.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Current regional conditions. Special regional information. 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Your region's long-range outlook. The regional forecast. The extended forecast. Your local radar, showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Lightning is an indiscriminate killer. By its nature, it is random. People are struck without warning. One single bolt can change people's lives forever.
Shut him down, buddy! You gotta shut him down!
That's what happened to a group of ultimate Frisbee players on Sunday, April 10th, 1994. A tournament very much like this one was into its second day in Nashville, Tennessee.
The disc was being counted in, and I forget who was counting it in, but he went, I think it was stick from the landing, went 3, 2, and he never said 1, and this bolt of lightning, this huge bolt of lightning came down and struck right in the middle of the people around the disc, and it knocked them all down, it knocked me down, knocked everybody on the field down, and when we got up, or when I looked up, there were 6 or so people lying on the ground.
Sean Adams, who 30 minutes earlier had been sliding through the mud as he waited to play, was killed instantly. Another ultimate Frisbee player, Carmen La Palma, lay on the ground motionless.
People running off the field, people running on the field, people were crying, and it continued to rain, and at that point we got a lot more lightning. It was just pandemonium for a while. The thing I remember most was I could not help but stare at Carmen because I was thinking, oh my God, she must be dead or something, because smoke was coming off her body.
28-year-old Carmen was rushed by friends to the nearest hospital. Her brain was starved of oxygen for several minutes. Carmen's parents rushed to her bedside.
I felt so overwhelmed, not only seeing my child in that position, in a coma, not able to speak, but there were so many injuries that Carmen sustained. Carmen had obvious head injury. Carmen had second-degree burns on her body, all over her body. The lightning had entered Carmen's head through the left side, and it had seared part of her hair. It looked like someone had just singed it off. That really let me know what a charge she had taken. In addition to the brain injury, though, all of Carmen's internal organs shut down.
That's a girl. Good job. Okay.
Her injuries were extensive. Her life and that of those around her has not been the same since.
Just watching the slowness of the progress and what little progress we've had with her, I cry every day.
I think the hardest part is now. We're tired. We're emotionally tired. We're physically tired. But Carmen's recovery now is so much slower than it was. when she first woke up from the coma, when she first talked, the first time she walked. These are pretty dramatic improvements. And now it's slowed down quite a bit, and we're constantly asked by the doctors to be patient. We know that she will get better. We don't know how much better. No one knows that. So I think just the waiting and the not knowing, that's the hardest.
It has been a very, very long, painful struggle for everyone close to Carmen. She remembers little about that fateful day.
I was playing ultimate frisbee. And the lightning struck.
Carmen now uses a computer to communicate, as speaking is very difficult.
Excellent. I feel fine.
So when when you hear people saying a moment can turn your life upside down, it is the truth. I mean, a phone call was made, and nothing in the last 8 months in our lives has been the same, nor will it ever, because of that event.
Give Dad a kiss. We'll get this with the camera, okay? That's it. Okay?
Hundreds of people each year are hit by lightning. Only a few are killed. Many more survive, but their lives have been destroyed.
Well, I know I'll never be the same person. I've come to that realization, and I've been told that. But I have good points. I'm a lot better than I used to be. I'm not bedridden anymore. For a while, that I couldn't get up out of bed. I couldn't stand up. I was too weak to stand up. I've come a long way from there, and I have a positive outlook.
Some help is on hand for Wayne. Every month, he meets with other victims at the Lightning Victims Support Group at Tampa General Hospital. Here, those struck and their immediate relatives openly discuss their problems and try to help others in the same situation.
Every major organ in your body has been affected by this, and things like this happen, especially the memory loss and the headaches, and it is real, and that's something that we should all be here talking about, is that you're not the only one that's experienced that, and you haven't gone crazy.
It's every day. You just fight it every day, and except for people that are here, no one understands. It's just a battle from day one. If it wasn't for my church, my faith in God, my wife, and this group, I would either be crazy or dead today.
I was on the telephone at work, and it was kind of funny, actually, because I could look right out the window while I was answering the phone, and I could see the lightning as the lightning came down and hit miles away. But I felt it and heard it come through the phone.
I think one of the hard things is that I see everybody sitting here, and everybody looks so fine and so normal, and what could possibly be wrong? But yet, I'll see him. And when we're home, I see him, and nobody else sees that. And that's what's so hard to live with and to accept, when you see someone in such pain that they can't do a normal function, a simple thing, and they're in such pain and you can't do anything about it.
Dr. Marianne Cooper of the University of Illinois Chicago Hospital is recognized as one of the leading experts on lightning deaths and injuries. She believes there are many misconceptions about lightning injuries.
The question is whether we should this gentleman in the intensive care unit or not, and whether we need to monitor him
One is that you automatically die if you're hit by lightning. In fact, only 3 to 5% of those hit are killed.
One of the other common misconceptions that both families and physicians have is that if you're hit by lightning, either you're all okay or you're dead. This leaves the victim, who may have substantial changes and substantial injuries, not having them recognized by anyone else. So that while the victim looks the same on the outside most of the time, on the inside they may be a very different person. This isn't recognized by their co-workers, by their family often. It's also often not recognized or afforded credibility by the medical profession.
Many people who are hit by lightning are at play. One of the worst places to be is on a golf course. Nearly 20% of those hit while outside or on the links. At the U.S. Open at the Hazeltine National Golf Course near Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1991, one person was killed and several others were injured by lightning. The spectators were sheltering underneath a tree by the 16th fairway during a storm.
My son and I were over by the tree over there, and he said, let's run over under that willow. It looks like better shelter. And it started raining a little harder, and then when we looked at the willow again, there was, right after it hit, there was about 8 people down around the tree. Nobody was moving.
And look what happened to this hole when it was hit by lightning in Tucson. The PGA has added some precautions during tournaments to increase safety for spectators and players. They install weather radar and employ local weather experts to help them with the forecast. But thunderstorms can still spring up without warning.
We're doing pretty good with all these new systems we have, but sometimes things come up so quickly that even the smartest weather people can't even predict them. It happened at a tournament last year and was just supposed to be predicted some light rain, and it ended up being a violent storm. It was very scary. And it came up just in a matter of minutes.
Lightning can cause immense human suffering, but nature is also at risk. Researchers are busy working on ways to give us more warning of when lightning is on the way. Coming up, new technology and the battle to stay ahead of the storm.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. The extended forecast. The current local radar showing any precipitation in your area. The intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Sun, snow, rain, or fog. Know what to expect. Just 95 cents a minute. Dial 1-900-WEATHER. Connect.
I don't do windows. I don't do sinks. And I don't do bathroom tile.
She has Invisible Shield. It keeps windows spotless, sinks clean and shiny, and tiles free from scum. Watch. Muddy water leaves this patio door a mess, but treat it with Invisible Shield and the mud refuses to stick. Amazing. And forget messy sinks. With Invisible Shield, all the dirt just slides down the drain. Just apply it once, and you won't have to scrape or scrub for months. Look, a whole paper towel can't soak up this water, but the treated half beads and cleans up effortlessly. Order now and you'll also get this lime scale remover to clean dirty surfaces once and for all. The entire Easy Clean system is only $14.95. So have your credit card ready and call now.
To order your 2 bottles of Invisible Shield, call 1-800-669-8484. That's 1-800-669-8484. Order now. Call 1-800-669-8484.
Watching the Weather Channel. Accurate and dependable forecasts you can always turn to. And when you're away from your television, the Weather Channel forecast is also available from the following.
People are not the only ones at risk during storms. Thousands of acres of forest and property are destroyed each year by lightning-induced fires. In the past decade, over 15,000 fires nationwide have resulted in several $100 million a year in damage and the loss of over 2 million acres of forest. Forest fires, though, are part of the natural cycle. They encourage new vegetation, which provides necessary food for some animals. Lightning causes destruction both to people and property. Researchers are now working on new and advanced systems that will give the public more warning of imminent strikes. At over 100 locations throughout the United States, many at isolated places like this one near Lordsburg, New Mexico, are lightning detection devices.
When a lightning strike occurs, the sensor detects the waveform and sends that information on a satellite link to our control center in Tucson, Arizona. We use the data from 2 or more lightning sensors, and we intersect that information to determine where the lightning has occurred.
Here, strikes from around the country are monitored 24 hours a day. The information is then sent out to customers, like the Weather Channel.
We're looking at a very strong frontal system moving through a tropical air mass in the south today, and lightning data is thick. These are the points where lightning has come out of the cloud and actually struck the ground over the Gulf of Mexico in the last few hours. Severe weather with this front. Back down around Louisiana.
Power utility companies have a multiple use of this lightning data. They do use it on an operations application, which is when they hold their crews if they see a storm moving into their service area, and it's at the time of day when normally they'd be sending their crews home. They'll keep those crews and maybe even call additional resources in to be prepared in case a power outage occurs.
In the future, the Lightning Detection Network hopes that the public will have direct access to the latest strike information.
What we see happening is that the data will be transmitted in many different forms. Today, it's usually displayed on a computer screen with a graphical image. We're looking to utilize fax machines, pagers, all different ways to know a location where a customer is at and be able to forewarn them that lightning is in that area.
The network keeps data on all lightning strikes. A regional pattern can be seen. But it is interesting to note that there is a significant change in 1993. Frequent lightning activity in the Midwest, which correlates with the massive floods of that year. At the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology in Socorro, Chip Scott, a graduate student, is working with an experimental radar. This radar technology can detect where lightning will develop well before a strike has even been registered.
What happens is you have ice platelets in the clouds, and normally they fall like this. And in a strong electric field, these little ice platelets actually stand up like this, align, and we can actually, in our radar, see that alignment. The stronger the field, the more the alignment, and the more potential there is for the lightning to discharge at that time.
The radar has been tested during many thunderstorms in the Socorro area. The results have been very encouraging.
We have cases where there's been more than one storm over Langmuir Lab, and I warn them of a potential discharge from a storm they don't even think is active. They tell me they don't think anything's coming out of that storm, and then right after I tell them there's a discharge, and so they say that that was a good call. So it is pretty amazing.
Researchers keep on making fascinating discoveries about lightning. In the spring of '94, a team from the University of Alaska in Fairbanks flew above Midwestern thunderstorms to try and capture what happens to lightning above the clouds. This amazing footage shows a phenomenon known as sprites. Sprites are high-altitude discharges occurring up at about 50 miles above the ground, and they tend to be red as opposed to blue. They do not look like normal cloud-to-ground lightning. There are also the blue jets, which seem to come out of the clouds and go up to altitudes of 35 to 40 miles at surprising low velocity.
Both the red sprites and the blue jets I view as fascinating new electrical phenomena, which may in fact play a role in the chemistry of the upper atmosphere, or certainly the effects of the upper atmosphere on other things like the Earth's magnetosphere.
NASA also took part in this project. They are still very interested in all aspects of lightning and how it affects everyday operations. The shuttle Endeavour has captured many spectacular images, but none as vivid as those of lightning striking Earth, as seen from space.
We are getting a spectacular view of all of Florida at this moment, out the window.
We have ignition and liftoff of Atlantis and the Galileo spacecraft bound for Jupiter.
Space is the next frontier for lightning research.
And the Sunnyvale flight director has just confirmed the successful deploy of the inertial upper stage and Galileo.
The Galileo spacecraft is on the way to Jupiter, and one of its many experiments is related to lightning.
We have an experiment on the probe to detect and measure the properties of lightning in Jupiter. Jupiter is the most likely candidate for lightning because the two Voyagers saw transient light spots on their TV cameras when they went by. So it's thought that those spots couldn't be anything else but lightning.
Back on Earth, lightning continues to put on a spectacular show. People get a thrill out of nature's electricity.
Oh, look at that.
But this weather phenomenon can be devastating to life and property. Researchers are battling on ways to give people enough warning that lightning is on the way. But sometimes there is no substitute for a touch of good old common sense.
When I think of high school teams, particularly football teams, sports teams, grammar school, young people playing sports in the rain, as I know they do, it frightens me to death. And if I could send any message to anybody, it would be to please don't let your children play outside when it's raining. Be frightened of lightning. I was never frightened of it myself. It has never touched me in any way. And now I am obviously very frightened and have a lot of respect for what it can do.
Thank you for joining us for our special presentation of the sky on fire. But what steps can you take to prevent being struck by lightning? The Weather Channel's Lisa Spencer has some timely tips.
To estimate the distance in miles of a bolt of lightning, count the number of seconds between the lightning and the thunder and divide by 5. If you're outdoors and in a large group of people when the dark clouds begin to roll in, spread out and keep people several yards apart. If you're on or near water, get away from it fast. The storm should be over soon, and then you can get back to the fun. Some people think that if they wear rubber-soled shoes, a lightning strike won't hurt them. Don't count on it. Working in the yard is dangerous during a thunderstorm. As soon as you see a thunderstorm approaching, put your metal tools away and get off your riding mower. An average of 93 Americans a year are killed by lightning. The grass can wait till tomorrow. Lightning can strike as far as 10 miles away from any rain. And even if you can't hear the thunder, the first lightning bolt can be as lethal as the last. Golfers should get away from their club and golf cart immediately and take off your metal golf shoes. They provide a path for the lightning. Then head for shelter or lower ground, and you'll live to play another day. When lightning passes through air, it heats it to more than 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than the surface of the sun. The best place to be in a thunderstorm is indoors, but take precautions. Hang up the phone. Lightning can pass through phone lines. Get out of the shower. Pipes and water are electrical conductors. Patience. The average thunderstorm only lasts 30 minutes.
Now available from the Weather Channel, Sky on Fire, a spectacular new home video about lightning, nature's uncontrollable electrical monster. This special video is loaded with some of the most terrifying and beautiful lightning displays that have ever been recorded. And this fabulous video is only $19.95. You will see lightning that is so spectacular, we're sure you'll agree you've never seen anything like it before. See terrified golfers when a lightning storm invades a golf tournament. See amazing photography from outer space. See how lightning can threaten airplanes in midair. On this exclusive home video from the Weather Channel, you will see more spectacular and unusual lightning displays than many people ever see in a lifetime. All for only $19.95. Call 1-800-431-5577 now with your credit card ready. That's 1-800-431-5577. Call now.